Memphis is a place where Black imagination is its number one resource. In this building, when I walked in it for the first time, my imagination exploded with all kinds of ideas and colors. And then when I heard the history of the building and understood that it was supposed to be the jumping off point for King's campaign around bringing folks of all races together around economic justice, it just all made sense to me, because the artists here who are reimagining the city around wealth building and having access and having freedom and safe spaces, this is the embodiment of that vision for me.
Center for Cultural Innovation has a national time-limited initiative called AmbitoUS. The goal of that has been to basically do two things. Focus on how can we actually give large groups of artists ownership power, and not just artists, but all those who are like artists. And how do we help support economic trailblazers who are really in it to save cultural identities of their community that are under threat right now from continued displacement, redlining, and gentrification.
Great work without a story being told is just great work that no one hears. When you can give people economic agency, they build beyond themselves, they build communities back, and they stretch sometimes beyond their own capacity. If you look at what's happening here in Memphis, in some ways it's a story of restoration of art, but it's also a story of restoration of history. It's a story of restoration of culture. And when it's done well and done right, the economy around it, the community around it grows because it sees itself in it.
Clayborn Temple is going to reopen as a cultural arts and community center. We'll have two buildings. Our main building is what you see now in the sanctuary that you've seen on the inside. Will be a space for storytelling and performance and gathering and healing and weddings and bringing people together. It's going to be so beautiful. For me, this building is about T.L. Jones and Cornelia Crenshaw and all the sanitation workers and Echo Cole and Robert Walker and the names that folks never see. One of the things that we're doing to restore the building is we're reimagining the stained glass windows to tell the story of the Sanitation Workers Strike in the windows. And people need to see themselves in these everyday people whose names they don't know, because I want them to know that they have that kind of power.
Oftentimes, within our institutions, we're still looking at things in a fairly siloed way. And here, with AmbitoUS and with grantees like ANASA and others, they don't see those same structures. They don't see those same confines. They see the possibilities and they push us.
The goal of AmbitoUS was daring from the outset. And when it's done, I want people to be able to see that there were trailblazers at the outset who had supporters behind them. As their work was amplified, as their stories are amplified, people who might not have been financially supported by AmbitoUS could see themselves in the aspirations and the realizations of projects like Historic Clayborn. And when you can see a thing done, you can dream a thing. And to dream a thing is often the first step to doing a thing.
What success could look like for AmbitoUS, and really what success looks like for all of us, is joy. It's a belief that a different way, a way that really centers people and not necessarily profits, a way of being where culture is not just centered, but fully lived into. Success looks like happiness. Success looks like an economic flourishing, but a cultural flourishing.
Historic Clayborn Temple and other projects like ours can teach philanthropy a few things. One, I think being able to ground this idea of just remaking the world from the space of an artist and a creative and culture is a very powerful tool that I think is misunderstood and underutilized. Artists are essential to any vision that calls the future into question. An artist spends their whole life practicing how to make something new, how to take something that looks one way and alchemize it and create something new. Also, the idea that everyday people have the power, the knowledge, and the understanding to be able to manage large amounts of money is revolutionary in the philanthropic world. There's always someone else on the other side of the table who gets to say who gets to be trusted with the money and who isn't. And those folks often are not from our communities. You cannot create community while isolating yourself in a vault full of gold bars. You can't do that. You have to come out and be with the people and be part of the community and do your part. My part might be to bring the lemon cake. Your part might be to bring the $1 million check. It doesn't make me less important. It just means I have a different level of access and experience, but I bet you're gonna eat that cake.